On Monday, I looked at Genesis 2:18, that it's not good for a man to be alone. And bringing into that a different, perhaps different, was for me, idea that God's saying it's not good. It's not what he created man, male and female, for, is this aloneness. He created us for union, for oneness with him. And it is not a good thing to have this concept of being alone. We are not separated from God. He is with us, but the concept, the delusion, the belief that we are alone leads to so many problems. In fact, we could probably make the argument that that's where actually sin entered. And it happened because Adam had this concept. But what happens after that is God takes a rib out of Adam and creates Eve and gives him to him as his wife, saying that she is a helpmeet for him, and that that a man is to cleave unto his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. Now, I want to understand this part of this. It's not good for man to be alone, because the traditional view is what I've had, is that that God created the woman because Adam was alone, so he needs the woman to not be alone, because that wasn't good for him to be alone. But I think there's something more significant in it than that. And we can look at that through the lens of even Jesus in Matthew 19. And that's what we want to look at and read a few verses in Matthew 19 to reflect back upon Genesis 2, because Jesus actually quotes from Genesis chapter 2. So the story in Matthew 19 is it says that he was finished the sayings that where he was, and then he departed from Galilee, and he came to the region of Judea beyond the Jordan. This is starting in verse 1. And great multitudes followed, and he healed them there. So Jesus is teaching, and carry on. And then in verse 3, the Pharisees showed up. They came to him, and they're testing him. They're going to ask him a question, not because they wanted the answer, but they wanted to challenge him. They wanted to catch him some way saying something wrong. And he says, is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any reason? So this is the question. Can we just divorce our wives for any reason? What do you say? And Jesus responds in verse 4. And this is really, it was where he quotes in Genesis chapter 2. He says, and he answered them and said to them, have you not read? These are the religious teachers here. And he's like, you guys just don't get it. Didn't you read what's there? Have you not read that he who made them at the beginning made them male and female, and said, for this reason a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh? Haven't you guys read that? So then they're no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together, let not man separate. And so he takes it back to the beginning for the reason for male and female marriage, and the Pharisees don't get it. So then they're like, well, then why did Moses say we could? And Jesus' response to that, which isn't the focus here, Jesus' response was, because y'all have hard hearts. So Moses permitted in the law, in the Torah, for them to do this. We'll talk about that another time. But I want to get back to is what Jesus says, have you not read? And he goes back to the beginning. And he said God created male and female so that they could become, the two could become one. So when God says it's not good for man to be alone, and then he creates woman and tells them to become one, did he create woman to take away Adam's loneness, or he made her to help him, to help him to see and remember and exercise in union? Because as Jesus quotes, the two are to become one. The two are to become one. This is the picture of the divine relationship that we each have, that me, seemingly alone, feeling alone, but yet invited into this union, this communion, this fellowship, that Jesus is with me, even from the very beginning, and I didn't put him there, to live in that oneness and that union with him, to have the concept, to have the vision, to see that I'm growing in depth of relationship with God, just as God Father, Son, Holy Spirit dwell in this oneness, and I'm invited into that same relationship. And he is with me always and never leaves me. And so when he creates woman as the helpmeet for Adam in Genesis 2, is this picture that he says, I want you to walk this out. I want her to help you to understand this relationship between you and me. You become one with her mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. Your union with her, which can only be done through love, manifesting the nature of God, is to point to rehearse the great oneness and pursuit between God and man. It's not good that man be alone, but that he lives in union with God, and this marriage pictures and points to that.